Hello everyone, my name is Gianna Castro and welcome back to another episode of the Women's Sports Matters podcast. I'm your host Gianna Castro. Let's get started. This is the second episode of season 2 and I did not create an episode on Thanksgiving because I did not have the time. I'll be honest. Plus everyone was busy celebrating on their own because we weren't supposed to go anywhere. But I know people that do that. Whatever. I don't really care. Who cares? As long as you follow what I say at the end of my episodes, it's okay. Look what I have. I have a microphone now. See this bad boy? It's a tiny little microphone. I got it so that I could record my podcast and I'd sound better and clearer and you could understand me. And you don't have to turn up the volume or turn it down because of how far away I am from my phone. So without further ado, I'm going to be announcing a new segment on this podcast. And this is going to be the first episode of that segment. I'm starting a new segment called Off-Topic Discussions. And the point of this is to go off topic from the main point of my podcast, which is talking about women's sports. And I know, bummer for some of you, but hey, it might be really interesting to hear about some off-topic things that I have to say. And I want to get people on this podcast. I've already had discussions with people who want to come on the podcast with something different. They want to talk about something different, not women's sports, because I talked about it before in an episode. So that is why I'm starting to do this. Also, another reason I'm starting to do this is because I have a school assignment. I keep doing things with my podcast in school. It seems like the perfect idea. I already have some sort of a platform. If you don't follow me on Twitter, it's at WSM Podcast, by the way, if you want to follow me, of course. That's a platform that I have, kind of. So without further ado, today's first off-topic discussion topic that we have is transgender rights. That is right, folks. We're talking about rights today. We're talking about if people should have rights today. I feel like this is just a no-brainer, but it's not. That's unfortunate. People are trying to live their lives, and they don't have their rights. Listen, if I was a straight, white, male, I would just be chilling in this world, but not everyone has that, the ability to chill and be like, I have all my rights. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm a little tired. So, that's why I'm a little, off today. I have pulled up on my laptop talking points, for today because I'm supposed to cite some sources. So yeah. Let's get started with our off-topic discussion. I'm discussing by myself. Woe is me. I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving if you spent it alone or with family or on Zoom. Happy Thanksgiving. It's now the holiday season. I recommend listening to Michael Bublé's Christmas album. That is the only thing I will listen to. It's just my favorite thing. That's my recommendation. Okay, now we're going to talk about it. I'm just wasting my own time. Oh no, we're not starting right now. You get to hear my wonderful voice. Pre-recorded voice, that is. We're going to hit a commercial break, and then we are going to talk about transgender rights in our first ever episode of Off-Topic Discussion. My name is Gianna Castro. I'm your host. Let's hear this ad read from Anchor. If you're on YouTube, you will not be hearing an ad. If you are on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever. Here's a little word about today's sponsor, Anchor. Don't you just love listening to me reading an ad? Classic. I love listening to myself again. Actually, no, that is such a lie, and if you believe that, there's something wrong here, because I hate listening to myself. Okay, last episode I lied. I said I don't listen back to my episodes. I actually do. It's called editing for YouTube. Editing for YouTube. And I also lied. This episode is going up for the Tuesday. What is Tuesday? Let me look on my laptop. The 1st. December 1st. I said my interview with Scott Parkinson was going up. No. That'll be up on Thursday. But I digress. I know I'm a liar. I'm sorry. I apologize for the inconvenience. Now let's actually start off-topic discussion. Whoop! Okay. So. Trans rights. Listen. This shouldn't be a debate. I shouldn't be sitting here telling you that people should have rights. What? It's quite simple. People should have rights, period. I said it. And if you disagree, the door's over here. These are my closet doors. My door is actually over there. The entrance to my room. But behind me are my closet doors, so you can just... The door. Don't let it hit you on the way out. But in all seriousness, I have trans friends, family members, classmates. Why don't they deserve rights? I want to hear an actual person with, like, a college degree, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Stanford, heck, even community college, someone with a college degree, tell me why people shouldn't have rights. I'm not even going to put a label on it. Gay, trans, illegal aliens, please. Please stop with the BS. It's quite simple. It's quite simple. People should have rights, period. I don't understand what the whole fuss is about. What did they ever do to you? Did you get beat up? And then decide, oh, I'm going to make fun of this person for being different. Ugh. Straight white men have it easy. And if you don't believe me, look at most of the presidents that we've had. Congressmen. People in power. Yeah. How many trans people are there in the Senate or Congress in the United States? Well, federal. Zero. Delaware's first state senator, first transgender state senator got elected, which was pretty cool. And it happened in another state too. I forgot which one though. That's epic! That is epic. I want to recognize how epic that is. That is really cool. See, we're improving. Congress also just got gayer, by the way. At least in the House. And that is awesome. Because we need more representation. I want to be represented. Do you want to be represented? Representation matters. But I digress. I actually need to pull up my assignment thing so I can see what I have to talk about in order to get a nice little grade on this. If I can find it. I would like people on Twitter to talk about why people should have rights. I want to create a discussion on Twitter. It's simple, you know. Or someone tweet at me. I really want to interview a trans athlete. That's one thing I want to do on this podcast because they have it the hardest, for sure. No one. It seems like no one wants to let them even do anything. They're people too. I just thought of something. I did an assignment for speech. And it was on What's it called? It's something. Hold on a second. I can't do all this stuff at once. I have to go to my module and scroll all the way down to my journal entry. Because I like wasting my own time. I'm zooming all the way down to the bottom. Aha. You will initiate a campaign for justice that will solve a problem related to identity. To do this, you will create a meta text by using the ideas from the freeway you completed and the evidence from the sources you added to the freeway. Goal: to inspire your audience to act and move the decision makers to institute change. Okay, let's talk about my speech assignment that I did. I can read you a little about it. It has something to do with people in sports. I have to pull it up though, so I can read a little bit of it. I don't know why, I just got a twang there. I always get made fun of when I'm speaking and then I have a little twang. I'm from the Midwest. Do you think I would have any twang? Please. Please. I don't know if I still have the speech on here. Is it gonna show up for me? See, I love wasting my own time. Inequality in sports. Okay, this is perfect. This is perfect to talk about while I'm sitting here. Move my phone. Aha. Here's my attention getter from my speech. In the world of sports, many athletes go through different inequalities. Transgender and intersex athletes face discrimination from their peers and institutions because they're different from everyone else. The gender wage gap causes female athletes, to travel overseas to play right after their season ends, and the racial injustices the players face from opponents and people in the stands. That's what I talked about. My thesis statement kind of sucks, but I'll read it. Some examples that I will later on discuss include South African track star Caster Semenya, an intersex runner that identifies as a female, is faced with a decision in which she might have to stop her track career. The WNBA versus NBA wage gap, and why major sports leagues went on strike. So in this discussion, in the speech that I wrote, the very first speech I wrote for speech, by the way, in my first semester of college. This is something I'm very proud of. Something that I will probably read in the future on here because I really like this speech a lot. And I'm glad that I got to write about it. I got so mad while I was researching because I was like, what? These people are actually, they're not being allowed to participate, or they're being criticized for participating. I'll read you the examples from my transgender intersex athletes part. My first example is in March. Idaho became the first state to bar transgender girls and women from participating in women's sports. Athletes would be required to participate in sports that matched their gender assigned at birth. However, the ban was challenged by a transgender athlete. The law has been halted by the court, but there is no official statement on whether it will become a law in Idaho anytime soon. That is crazy. Banning people from sports because they are a disadvantage? Do these people not know what happens when someone transitions? If you're a bigot and you're worried about your daughter's scholarship, might as well just send her to another school just to avoid this. Don't make a fuss about it. Then just leave. Just leave. Please, just leave. I know this is supposed to be inspiring, but that just makes me so upset. Because, I don't see your point here. What's your point? Tell me what your point is, please. Please! See, I'm already upset now. I'm gonna get such a great grade on this assignment. And then, I get it. Your daughter might be, fantastic athlete. Sure. But someone just decided, or figured out, I shouldn't say decided, just figured out that they don't feel confident being themselves. That's why they transitioned. That's why they identify as transgender, because they don't feel comfortable. They do not feel comfortable with themselves, and you just made it 10 times worse. Not validating them. These poor people probably went through months, years, feeling different, feeling they couldn't do anything about it. And you're saying, hey, you can't play a sport because you're different. Oh my God. Oh my God. It makes me so upset. I will tell a story. This is not trying to relate at all with transgender athletes. But you can have an example of this as well, of not being allowed to play a sport based on something you identify as. I'm a woman. Hi. I wanted to play baseball at my private school in Joliet. They told me no because I was a girl and I have to play the girl version of baseball, which is softball. I said no, I played a different sport. I dealt with it. This is so different though. It's just an example of a less serious scenario. This is like on top. My situation's like low. It just doesn't make sense. Barring people from playing a sport or participating. Do you know how many transgender people die? Black transgender women die every year. This is a problem. They're being killed. It's a hate crime. Such a hate crime. Oh my God. I'm rambling. I'm just upset. I'm gonna keep looking through this. I think that's all I wanted to talk about with that. I wanted to talk about that first part of that speech. Talking about the barring of athletes. That's disrespectful. I wanted to talk about gender dysphoria. These athletes, or any transgender person. Gender dysphoria is a big reason why people transition or come out as transgender. They realize something is wrong, they don't feel right in their body. That's why they transition. Most people know being transgender isn't a choice, it's more of realizing that something isn't right. And then that is usually why people start to come out and decide to do something about it, and that's why they transition. They start taking the necessary hormones, etc. Believe it or not, transgender people actually don't live in luxury, even though you may already believe that they already have all these famous, awesome, I don't know why I said famous, awesome rights, just like everyone else. The challenges that they face include lack of legal protection, poverty, stigma, harassment, discrimination, violence, lack of healthcare coverage, and acquiring the correct identity documents. You know how long it takes for someone to get the right driver's license? Yeah. All transgender people want is to have the same rights as cisgender people. As a cisgendered person, I can say that I cannot speak for transgender people at all. I'm just reading what I wrote here, and these are some of my thoughts. I fully stand with the transgender community. I don't understand the people that leave out the T when they say LGBT. If you don't include trans rights in feminism or in the LGBT community, there's something wrong with you. And there's a term for that. I believe it's your turf or whatever. I don't know. But I could look it up. My poor teacher listening to this. I go all over the place on my podcast, and people know that. TERF is an acronym for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist, and this was coined in 2008. An example of a TERF is J.K. Rowling, who was very, very transphobic, and people are boycotting her books and stuff like that. Like, I have 2 of her books. I really want to get rid of them. I don't want to support that anymore. I'm looking at a photo on here that came up with TERF. It says, feminism is intersectional. No TERFs. And I don't know what that says. No SHERFs. What the hell is a SHERF? See, we go all over the place. It's something exclusionary. No, I did not want sheriff. Why is it Spanish? Why am I in Spanish? What did you do? There we go. I never took Spanish in high school. I took French because I'm cool. Okay. Well, I'm not going to find out what it is because he keeps translating into Spanish. I don't know Spanish. Let's go back up to the top, and my computer decides it doesn't want to scroll. Just to read some of my work. In October of 2018, you could hear transgender rights are human rights being shouted in streets across America as transgender rights were being taken away left and right by the Trump administration. According to DoSomething.org, more than 1.4 million people who identify as transgender and gender non-conforming in the United States will lose all legal protections like health care and bathrooms in schools. That is effed up. For sure. Like I said, I know so many people that are trans. I never ask them about the bathroom thing. I feel like that's a sore subject. It's just crazy. Don't you just want to go pee or something? Like, can't we all do that? I don't understand. Make it make sense, please. Why people can't go to the bathroom. Our toilets at home do not have a men's or women's room sign on them. They're gender neutral. So why can't all bathrooms be like that? Is that too radical for me to say? I have no idea. Oh well. Moving on. My last two sentences are great. Transgender rights are human rights. These people are literally humans, so can we start treating them like they are? I raised a good point. I like making this face, if you couldn't tell. I like making faces in general. This is why you should watch the YouTube versions to see my wonderful expressions and me not looking at the camera, because I feel like I need to be looking at myself. Yeah. People need rights. It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. That's all I have to say. And here's a little lesson for everyone. If you don't know what the word transgender means, the Human Rights Campaign can explain it to you. It is defined as the website says, the word transgender or trans is an umbrella term for people whose gender identity is different from the sex assigned to us at birth. People who come out as transgender may change their pronouns as well. Transgender people are people of all ages. They are our neighbors, our cousins, our bus drivers, our teachers, teachers, Jesus, etc. According to the Journal of Ethics, there are a few arguments that people use to critique and discredit the transgender community. This is called the born that way argument, and this is a really stupid argument, but I had to write about it anyway. Within the 3 types of the born that way argument is the not chosen argument that this is the most popular within the group because of people who believe that transgender people don't deserve rights. Basically, this group says that being LGBTQ plus or being transgender is a choice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a choice. This is not a I'm waking up in the morning and deciding I'm transgender kind of thing. It is a process of realizing that something is off. Something is off. You don't feel like yourself. And I keep saying this, and I want everyone to install it into your brain. Install it into your brain. Oh my god. Install it into your brain, actually. I didn't wake up one day and I was like, okay, I'm gonna change my eye color to purple. Actually, contacts, you can do that. Purple's kind of, I hate the color purple. I'm more of a blue person. A choice is waking up in the morning and say, I'm gonna have some Cheerios. What's not a choice is being transgender. And this kind of goes along the same lines of things I've been saying on TikTok recently, where it's like, ugh, I wish I was gay. I hate my boyfriend kind of thing. Like all these girls that I'm seeing on TikTok in the comments. No, don't say that. It's not a choice. That is homophobic. See yourself out. See yourself out, please. I keep holding it close. I don't know where I should be holding this. Oh well. But the Journal of Ethics page was really good. Basically, it was doing what I was supposed to do, show an argument that something is a choice or whatever, or an argument against transgender rights, but in the end they said overall, trans rights are human rights, like I've been saying, like a lot of people have been saying. I bet sometimes you couldn't even tell if a transgender person was standing next to you. It doesn't matter. It's none of your business. Why do you care? Why do people, I'm angry. So how can you make sure that transgender people have rights? You can sign petitions, attend protests, and ask your local and federal leaders to create change. You can also boycott products, restaurants, hotels, etc. that support organizations that are transphobic. For a more in-depth explanation of how you can help and learn more, listen to my upcoming episode for my podcast titled Trans Rights Are Human Rights on Women's Sports Matters podcast. I like doing some promo. I hated that. I hated writing that part. But hey, if I get more listeners to my podcast, that's awesome. Hi classmates, hi teacher, professor, whatever you want to be called. How you doing? Which will come out on Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. Yes, that is very true. I'm right. You can also check out websites like the Human Rights Campaign, GLAAD, the Trevor Project, and the ACLU to educate yourself more about the community. That is true. You can go to these websites and do a deep dive onto what you can do to make yourself a better ally, or if you are thinking about transitioning, if you're confused, if you want to learn more about gender dysphoria, these are great places to look, especially if you're confused. These places are great. Trevor Project has a hotline, I believe, as well that you can call if you're feeling suicidal or something like that. That is very serious. I take mental health very seriously. Use these links if you are considering transitioning. And just to learn more and to become a better person and a better ally. That is so important. I'm supposed to have a call to action here. Listen, here's what I'm going to say. Final thoughts before I wrap things up here. People need to start recognizing that everything is not their business. For example, transgender rights. Why can't we all be equal? We're all people. They're not aliens. I'm literally just baffled what people have against people. I'm truly baffled. This bathroom thing needs to be sorted out as well. Obviously, the solution is gender-neutral bathrooms. Moving on. I think schools need to start talking more in their health classes about gender dysphoria, because there's a lot of kids out there that don't know what it is, and they don't know that they're experiencing that. I didn't have a health class until my senior year of high school. Sophomore year, I took health like everyone else, except my Catholic school was teaching me health. I didn't learn anything. I didn't learn anything valuable. That's a whole episode for another day. We could talk about Catholic schools all day long, how much I hate them. What else? I think it's important, the one thing that I did mention is asking your local and federal leaders to create change, which is a great segue into talking about the Georgia runoff election. The last day to register to vote is December 7th. The runoff is on January 25th. If you are a resident of Georgia and you will turn 18 by January 25th, you can register to vote. Links will be down below. But for those that are not in Georgia and are in the United States, or heck, even if you're across the globe and you're realizing that people aren't being treated fairly, they're not being treated fairly, and you want to do something about it, email your leaders, call their offices. I've actually called offices before. In fact, when the transgender military ban was taking place a few years ago, 2018, I called my local leaders. I didn't exactly reach to them, I reached their secretaries. I was calling all these different people, and I was like, you can't let this happen. These are people. I thought we show pride for people in our military. This is like don't ask, don't tell, which I also did a paper on that, by the way, but it was absolutely terrible, and I will never talk about that. People are risking their lives. They want to risk their lives. And you're saying no? You're saying no. You're saying no because they are transgender, you're a transphobic president, and you don't deserve to be president. It's that simple. If people want to die for this country and they want to serve, let them. What if that was their childhood dream? They wanted to follow in their footsteps of their mom or their dad or their aunt or uncle. What? What? That doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. That pissed me off. Like, actually. I remember 2 years ago or whatever, sitting in my room and I saw it on Instagram. I saw a post. And I was like, wow. Why? I just get really mad because I think about all the people that I know and all the stuff that they've been through. It just makes me really, really mad. Like, I'm so angry right now. I pissed myself off. Whoa, I'm so mad. I'm angry. I'm trying to calm myself down. Okay. What's my call to action? Educate yourself. If you can't educate yourself, if you decide that you were like, no, I'm not going to educate myself because I want to be a bigot, go ahead. Education is very powerful. very powerful. I'm giving you these resources. And if you aren't educated and you don't know how you feel about this topic, educate yourself at least. Don't knock it until you look at it. Don't knock it until you try it, but don't knock it until you look at the resources that I'm providing. Watch some videos. Learn a thing or two. I don't want to hear any Christian or Catholic religious argument about this either. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. That's something I kind of wanted to talk about, but I don't want to do that. I feel like just leaving that out is fine. I'm so mad. Ugh. Am I forgetting anything? Did I inspire anyone? Let me know. Move the decision makers into institute change. Seriously, look at the links that I provide in the description. So, to end the episode, I'll tell you again what the links are. We have the Human Rights Campaign, GLAAD, the Trevor Project, and the ACLU. There will also be a link down below to register to vote for Georgia. Vote Warnock and Ossoff to make it 50-50 split in the United States Senate. That way, Mitch McConnell is no longer majority leader. That would be great. That would be a really nice way to start 2021. Well, to end the first month of 2021. So, like I always say at the end of my episodes, you can follow me at WSM Podcast on Twitter for updates, clips, polls, questions, etc. to hear from me. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you're listening on YouTube, cool. If you're listening on Anchor and you want to see me actually talk and wave to the camera, like I just did, it's the same name of this podcast. So it's the Women's Sports Matters Podcast on YouTube. Give my channel a nice little subscription. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my podcast. Like my videos on YouTube. Rate my podcast on Apple Podcasts. Or whatever. I don't care. Do what you want. Like I always say, wear a mask, wash your hands, social distance. COVID is not over, and y'all won't be getting that vaccine until next summer, at least. So to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, make sure that you wear a mask, wash your hands, and stay 6 feet away from other people. Don't attend parties. Thank you. That is going to do it for this Tuesday's episode of the Women's Sports Matters podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Trans rights are human rights. Black lives still matter. You are loved. You are appreciated. My name is Jenna Castro. I'm your host. And that's all, folks.